Hello everyone, and welcome to my PvP add-ons guide. I've been getting a ton of requests to do this, including a suggestion last night on my stream, and I've been branching out my content quite a bit, as you probably could tell, this expansion, so I figured if it would help people, why not do it? The format's going to be pretty simple. There's going to be a list of add-on names in the description below, as well as a timestamp for when I talk about each one, so you can navigate appropriately. And then on the screen, I'm going to go through each add-on and give you a synopsis, what it does, how can it help you, and then some customization and configuration options so you can effectively bend it to your will. You can make it do what you want it to do. I will not be talking about every possible configuration option, as that would be a 56-hour video and completely unwieldy, unusable. So instead, you're going to have to take some initiative. You're going to have to use the tools that I give you and the discussions we have to make the perfect customization for yourself as you follow along during the video. So totally believe in you. This should be super fun, and let's dive right into it. Starting with the almost top add-on, we're not going to start with battleground enemies because it is niche to one bracket. So instead, we will start with big debuffs, and that one does exactly what the add-on says. It puts a big debuff on the nameplates. There it is. Of a enemy player, right? So right now it's showing fear. That is the CC, and that's really useful to start with because you can see if you put any CC on your own, gives you the type of CC, and it counts down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That was a blind, right? So if a CC is on the nameplate of a target, you know many things. You know that they're CC'd, so they can't heal, they can't do damage. You can not break the CC if it's a fear, or if it's a stun, you don't want to overlap with it, right? There's no super stuns in World of Warcraft, so if somebody is already stunned, you don't want to then use your stun, because now there's no reason for your stun. You just wasted it. You threw it out for no reason, right? So you can see if they're stunned, if they're silenced, if they're feared, if you don't want to break it, if you don't want to overlap with it. That's extremely useful to see those things, but that's not all. You can see so many different types of effects. For example, you could see immunities, right? If they're in Divine Shield or aspect of the turtle for a hunter, that means they cannot take direct damage from you, right? So if you're just attacking into those things because maybe the visual is not super clear on your screen or there's a lot of particle effects, you might be just attacking into bubble. Yeah, look, I've made that mistake. And that means all of your damage is immune and it went into nowhere, right? So you can get information like an immunity, but you can also get defensives like pain suppression and iron bark. Iron Bark is really important because our druids, you already want to swap off of our druids because they put all these hots on one player and then send ward and all of these effects that will make them stay alive. And if you're just attacking into one guy, our druid is like, oh, this is perfect. I already got all my stuff on him. Once you see that Iron Bark come out, you've pretty much got that I gotta swap icon showing up. It will be hard to know every single icon, but as you play more, you'll start to learn them. And the other useful thing is that they kind of look like what they represent. Iron Bark is just like tree bark, right? So you see that and you're like, oh crap, he's got a defensive cooldown, he's got all these hots rolling on him, I should hit something else. And that's going to make the Ardruid lose effectively his value of his defensive, right? Pain suppression is the same way. A disc puts pain suppression on a DPS. That means they take 40% less damage. Do you want to attack into 40% less damage with all your burst, or would you like to hit somebody else for a moment and then swap back, right? If you are constantly ignoring all of the things your enemy team is doing, then you are playing directly into their hand. So big debuffs gives you an instant recognition for the most priority event going on during the game. That includes offensive cooldowns for them, right? So maybe something is coming out for them where you've got berserking or combustion or a pillar of frost, right? And you're like, oh crap, this is a good time to wall, right? You can now trade your defensives into their offensives because otherwise they'll just blaster you and you'll be like, oh wow, he does so much damage. He's too overpowered, nothing I could do. But in reality, there might have been something you could do. You could CC them or you could use a defensive, right? Because now you know exactly when it's coming out. Instead of kind of having to guess, oh crap, I'm taking a lot of damage, and press something, maybe it's too late, maybe your health bar is too low and it's difficult to recover. But if you are ahead of the game, if you are preemptive with these things, you have a much better shot to win. So that is what big debuffs does. And you can see I clicked over. So what you're really going to look at, there's so many options, and this is visuals, how to make it easier for you to see. I made mine very big, as you can see. Showed up, counted down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very big debuff. You can, I mean, that's the name. Love it, right? And you can click over to this spells tab, and this is going to be the most powerful customization option for you because it allows you to choose anything, and you can add spells by ID that you're going to have to use Wowhead for. There's a lot going on here, but if you use the default settings, and that's effectively what I'm using for spells, it shows you so much. They do a great job keeping this up to date. It shows you almost every offensive cooldown in the game, almost every defensive cooldown in the game, every single immunity in the game, all the different types of crowd control, so you're not overlapping, all of these great things. So you can take a look at the spells and all of the different things I've been talking about, crowd control, defensives, offensives, right? And which ones you want to add and subtract. But I really like what they give you. Just keep this add-on up to date and you'll be happy. Okay. So now we're going to skip Deja character stats because that is a visual. It's just fun, interface-based. So we're going to go on to the details damage meter. This I won't talk too much about because people have been using damage meters since literally 2004, right? So what this effectively does is it gives you a lot of information about what happened after the game, right? You can kind of look during the game and say, ooh, I'm doing a lot of damage, but you can also kind of see your damage breakdown. So did you try a new talent? Was it only 0.5% of your damage? Maybe that talent's not super good. You can see how things actually interact in a PvP setting, because some things are really good in PvE, but then they have PvP negative modifiers. Or they require high uptime, and you can't get the value out of them in PvP when you're getting CC'd and kited. So you can see your damage breakdown, and which of these new abilities actually contributed to what you're doing to win. But then, of course, you have so many other tools, right? You can see kicks. Did you think that you got a kick and then the interrupt says you didn't, right? I mean, you're getting juked all the time. Maybe that will help you get information like, okay, I gotta wait. I gotta hold on my kick a little bit here because nothing is landing and they're just getting cast off for free. Or what did I kick? Did I kick low priority spells? Why did that lock just destroy me? Oh, maybe I only kicked fire spells and then he chaos bolted me or feared my healer and I wasn't able to stop it because I kicked something low priority, right? You can see the healing done from your self and from your teammate, right? Is your self healing, are you death striking enough? Are you using self healing as a DPS? Or if you're a healer, you know, how much did your rotation throughput actually matter? Did you get an enormous healing off and we just died through it? Or maybe there was more cooldowns we could have traded. Should we have used revival there? Should we have used overgrowth, right? You just get so much post-game information. Did it feel like you healed a lot, but you didn't? Or it feel like you healed nothing and you actually did? There's just a ton of information. You can even see dispels. Was I getting dispelled out of polys? Did I actually dispel that poly, or was I too late? Did I purge? Dispels also shows purges. Did I purge off a Blessing of Protection, or did I not get it? How many things did I purge? I purged 5 things. I didn't even get popped. That's crazy. Bad luck, right? You can just see what's going on post-game, and you can get some information, right? And as long as you use it in a positive manner, you guys can all make adjustments and play better as a team. It is worth right-clicking the top of this and going through all of these options. Some of them are going to be completely worthless. Some of them are going to be way more useful than you thought. Even things like niche things like overhealing can tell you, well, yeah, I used all my cooldowns. Oh, yeah, but you used them when we were all at full health, and you just overhealed us by 20 million, right? So lots of very, very good tools there. Details and recount before that. I've been in the game. Details is king right now, forever and ever and ever. So, all right. And now we will go on to the next one, which is omnicd. So let's bring that up with /omnicd. And we'll bring up the test real quick right here. And now you can see, right next to my nameplate, I have some cooldowns, Omni cooldowns. That's what it shows you. And this is extremely valuable, right? Especially as a healer, right? What's the first thing you can do? As a healer, you can say, what defensives do we have available? And then you can call the defensives of your teammate. Let's say you're polymorphed, but you see that your DPS teammate has a wall. You can tell him to use that wall, and then maybe you don't have to trinket and use your own cooldown while you're in that polymorph. He can use his personals, and you can save yours for a rainy day, or if they swap to the next guy, right? So as a healer, knowing who has what defensive is extremely valuable, and you can, in a circle, rotate your defensives. That's what it means, right? Rotating your defensives means not using all of them at the same time, and then you have absolutely nothing left. If you can get away with just one person doing that, all you have to do is communicate and call, and it really helps to know what they have. In solo shuffle, of course, you can't really communicate, so just knowing who has access to what at least gives you the tools and information you need that you couldn't have communicated before, right? So that's a good way of keeping your team alive, right? Defensive management. You can also use this offensively. Blind is right there, right? You can tell, okay, he has leg sweep, right? I have blind up. He has leg sweep in 2. You're tracking that on your monk. All right, I'm doing my grip blind go, grip blind. Okay, you have leg sweep up, boom, right? And you can set up a go like that, offensive cooldowns, right? CC that you have available. There is a lot of merit in tracking trinkets with this. I mean, that's the big one, right? If a DPS is kidneyed, and has no trinket, you know there's nothing he can do, right? He is in a stun, he has no trinket, it is your save. Or if the healer is CC'd with no trinket, there's nothing he can do, which means it is entirely on you, DPS, to play as defensive as possible. So tracking trinkets, tracking defensive, tracking offensives. We already showed what the enemy information incoming was for that add-on, and now this add-on shows you the friendly information coming in. You can now know what your team has available to make plays. So let's bring up that customization option again, the menu, and we go over to spells here just like before, right? Scroll right over to the spells tab, and now here you go. You have access to everything. What do you want to track? If you're a healer, I suggest going through these and finding important walls. It also teaches you a lot about every spec that you're going to be healing in the game, right? So you go through each one of these and you look for the defensive cooldown. When you hover over it, it'll show exactly what to do. Wow, what a powerful add-on, huh? Right? I mean, it just gives you a tooltip, it gives you the spell ID, it gives you the cooldown. You will know everything about that spell, and then you can click whether you want to track it or untrack it. Right? So you get to, as a healer, you get to look through, find defensive, say, okay, now I won't overlap with you guys. I can call defensives. That makes me have more agency as a healer. If you are a setup DPS, you can say, okay, well, how do I coordinate my goes as good as possible, and what cooldowns am I looking for? Right? Offensive cooldowns, they're right here. Feral Frenzy, that's probably not something to track because it gets it from every clone, so you can tick things on or off based on your personal win conditions and how you want to try and coordinate with your teammates. So omnicd, really, really, really good. Now we have sarena, which is just like old Gladius. It is a arena nameplate. It will show DRs on them. Let's pull that up real quick. Test it. Right. So this is Gladius, right? A lot of people probably know it by that name, but now it's sarena. It is finally updated. You do have to get sarena updated by Sammers. That's what it should show in CurseForge when you pull this up. It looks like it switched development team or development person, I guess, but it is finally working again, and that's fantastic because what this is going to do is give you a very good visual of nameplates, so you can target people, you can see their health, you can see their resources, you can see their power, and you can also see when they're doing an important cast. Polymorph is shown right here. That's a perfect example because stopping polymorph sometimes is the difference between a win or a loss. I mean, if he gets a 7-second polymorph and your healer has no trinket, you're like, uh-oh, well, I just have to live by myself, and Frost Mage does a lot of damage right now, so you're probably not going to do that. So important casts, very good from sarena. Cyclone, polymorph, fear. Can I stop any of these things? Now you can see them much better right here in the middle of your screen instead of off 40 yards away, polymorphing your healer secretly, right? You can be like, oh wait, I can grip that, right? I can fell rush over and I can kick that. I can imprison that, right? You have stops, can you use them? This is a really, really powerful tool for sarena to show you the high priority spells going off, but also shows when they have trinkets, okay? Wait, triple no trinket, let's do our go. The healer has no trinket, do we have any CC for him, right? You can call out things like this. That's extremely valuable to know when they have outs, just like it's valuable to know when you have outs. And finally, it'll show DRs. On sarena, you can configure it, just like you can configure anything, and you just need to see DRs. Because diminishing returns for CC, extremely, here it is right there. I should probably pull it up on the screen just so you can know what I mean. Diminishing returns, you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, you can change where it is, of course. But what this is the cornerstone of CC and PvP, where if you stun somebody and then stun them again, the second stun has a diminishing return, half the duration than if you stun them a third time, it's half of that. So now a fourth duration. If you stun them a fourth time, it's fully immune, right? And every time you stun them again on that diminishing return, it resets the timer. It has an 18-second timer that is counting down, counting down, counting down. But then if you stun them during that timer, it resets the duration, right? So now it's back up to that, and you have to wait. So knowing diminishing returns when they're about to fall off, so when that 18-second timer is about to go to 0, is so important. Because let's say you stun them for 4 seconds, and then 12 seconds later, you stun them for 2 seconds. Should you have just waited for the 6 seconds to elapse, right? And then you could have stunned them for 4 seconds. But now, your stun is much shorter, you're much less likely to get a kill, and you have to wait all over again for that stun DR to come off. And this is true with any CC type. They have categories. You'll probably have to Google search, Wowhead search, CC DR types, right? But there's fear, right? And cyclone and polymorph, and all of these different CC effects are kind of grouped together. So stuns are all stuns, but then fears and cyclones are grouped together, okay? And polymorph is a totally different breed, and then you have blind and sap that can fall into these categories, and each one is in its own diminishing return category. And that is some self-research you might have to do because it is very hard to just memorize those instantly. So you have to get a feel for. The good news is stun and silence, hard CC like that, they're completely separate and they're all in their own DRs. Like stuns are stuns and silences are silences. So at least getting familiar with the stuns, because that's how a lot of classes will kill, is very, very useful. So it shows those three things right here on the left side, and then all the nameplate stuff, or the frames, right? The HP, power bar, and the class type, the spec, targeting them. It's all very, very, very useful. Okay. So finally, the big daddy, weak auras. No, I'm not going to give you every possible customization option for weak auras. I will update my own personal Arena CDs pack, and then I will link that in this description when it's done, so you can check out for that. I also have it on the host site, Flarkness Arena CDs. I did a pretty good job with this in Dragonflight, but of course things change from expansion to expansion. But this is the granddaddy of add-ons because it is effectively fully customizable. You could do almost anything. You can see auras for when a cooldown is pressed, like you see right here on the screen, or defensive is pressed, or a Psy Fiend is out, right? Psy Fiend is a killable Mortal Strike applicator that's really, really good for Shadow Priest. It's a PvP talent. And if you see that the Psy Fiend is out by a kill the Psy Fiend icon right in the middle of your screen, you will be more likely to go kill the Psy Fiend, right? There was also Healing Tide Totem, right? Which is another thing that they can put down that's interactable. You can kill the Healing Tide Totem and it pulses more and more healing, and it does it by itself. So if you don't kill it, and even when the CC happens on the R Shaman, they're still healing with Healing Tide Totem. So you have things like that. You have cooldowns like Death Mark and Combustion. You can see this is ancient because of Dark Soul still being here. You had Windwalker Serenity damage, which is now going to be Storm, Earth, and Fire because they gave them immune clones during Storm, Earth, and Fire. That's going to be a big deal. You're going to have to CC the monk during that. CC on your healer, like Blind. That's really valuable because Blind is very disruptive. If they're blinded, they can't do anything. You have to use your own personals, right? There's still so many tools that can be grabbed from weak auras, but they're stronger than that. They are. Because there's class and spec specific auras you can track. You can make one for DK where it shows when your unholy pet is dead, and it'll say, hey, your pet's dead, doofus. You can make it say whenever you want because you have all of these customization options, and you can give it text that you want to put on the screen, right? You can make it pretty crazy, or you can make it very simple, like the Kill the Psy Fiend, the one I had. But you can say, your pet is dead, doofus, resummon it, right? There's all of these class-specific auras that allow you to know more about what's happening in the game just by putting a reminder, an icon, a refresher, an alert, effectively, in the middle of your screen or wherever you want it. This is so unfathomably customizable. You can do anything with the display, with the images, with the text. You can make noises. You can make or a honka honka, right? You can do all of these things with Weak Aura. And as a result, it probably needs its own video. But of course, I had to talk about it in this one because it's the granddaddy PvP add-on. So if this video does well, maybe I'll make an entire separate long video specifically to customizing weak auras, but if I do that now, it's going to be an hour long. We can't do it. All right, and now I promised we're going to be talking about battleground enemies. This is important because I think BG Blitz is going to bring so many people over to PvP. This is the feature of the expansion. So battlegrounds are going to be in the forefront. They're going to be really popular and really important, and thus that will be reflected and the YouTube videos that I make. So Battleground Enemies gets its own nod, even though it doesn't do anything in arenas. But you type in /BGE and you get this little screen, and I will test it for you. I have to test it in BGs because it doesn't do anything for arenas. And here it is. Wow, look at all that happening. Okay, so BG Enemies is like the S arena of Battlegrounds. You see their health, you see their power bar, you see things that are happening to them. You can see that they're AMS or cloak, or you can see that they're in a CC. You can see all of these different DR types on them. So you know you don't want to DR in BGs either, right? If you're doing a go on a healer and you're like, oh, this can win us the base, and he's fully DR'd and you stun into it, then the stun does nothing. And you're like, oh, I didn't win us the base, right? Because then the healer's not going to die, right? DRs are still insanely important. You still see high priority spells. Like, look at that. That was Bubble Do you want to attack into bubble in BG? No, just like you don't want to in arena, right? So high priority spells, you've got CCDRs, you've got whether or not they have trinket. That's really good for taking a base. Are you a CC capable class? Are you rogue? Are you druid? They have no trinket. You know that. Clone, cap. Blind, cap. Sap, cap, right? Wow, that's going to be so good for BG Blitz to just know who has trinket, who doesn't. You can CC multiple people at the same time and capture a base and be a hero. You can win the game for your team. Very, very cool. So it's all those high priority spells coupled with good targeting, good ways to show who's alive, who's dead, what health they're at, what's a good swap target, what do they have left, right? You have all the information for Arena, but in a very concise and usable BG package. And that's it. There's all the add-ons that I super recommend right now for PvP. Most of them come packed with their own preset customization that's extremely useful, like big debuffs and omnicd. And then you saw clicking on and off spells was so easy. WEAKAURAS, of course, is its own beast. You can do almost anything with it, but that means you actually have to do things with it to make it go, right? This one does not come ready to rumble. And the details, we talked about that. Also, right off the bat, useful. You just install it and you go. So hopefully you have some more information for all these things, what they do, what am I actually trying to do with these add-ons, and if you want the more in-depth video on any specific add-on, again, probably WEAKAURAS, feel free to leave a like, a comment, anything letting me know this video actually helped, and I will keep going. I'll press on and make even more. So just let me know. And thank you so much for being here and for watching a video like this. And I hope it helped. I will see you guys in the next one.